and welcome to Positively Joy, the podcast on searching in all seasons. I'm your host, Yvette Walker. Today we have a wonderful guest. I was going to say she was a photographer, but she does so much more. Valerie Vaughn. Thanks for coming to the show, Valerie.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. So I call you a photographer, and that's what you are. But I know you as a photographer. You shot me before. You're great. But you're so creative and you do so much more. And one of many of your projects has been to empower Black girls and women in lots of different ways. In fact, you've had several projects where you do this. And since we are here talking about trying to search for joy, recapture our joy, I know firsthand by seeing the young people that you have worked with that you've done exactly that. So tell us a little bit about these different projects that I'm referring to and how you got started.
The first project that comes to mind when I think about empowering women and girls is the project Unlabeled project that I did back in 2015, and it was just all about empowering the little girl of color. And so my goal with that was for every little Black girl to see someone who looks like herself. And so how it started was I was just minding my own business and randomly browsing, scrolling through Facebook one day, and one of my friends had posted something about something and somebody had commented, and then I went down the rabbit hole. The comment spoke to me, and so I looked up the girl that made the comment, and she talked about being the black sheep in her family. And the woman that made the comment ended up being a poet, and her name was Talisa Hines. And I stumbled to her page, and the first thing I saw on her page was this poem called "I'm Coming for You." And it was basically talking about how she's coming for everybody that's ever put a little Black girl down. And so when I got done, and she had a video recording of her speaking it. Mm-hmm. And so when I got done listening to it, I was just I was done browsing. I was done minding my own business. And I was okay, I feel like she was that I need to do something now or whatever. And then so I reached out to her, and it was didn't have a solid plan or anything. I just wanted to do something to empower Black girls. I wanted to know if she wanted to collaborate with me on it. I would photograph them. Maybe she could write a poem, and maybe somehow we could merge it together. And so we put out a model call, thinking maybe we get maybe 5 or 10 girls or whatever, and photograph them. And we got, I think, over 100 responses or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so we're sitting there, and I'm I can't tell any of these girls that I don't want to shoot them. So we just shot them all. And then Lisa wrote the poem, and then a local videographer, Dorico, came in and did video for us. So we put it all together, and it was crazy because we had light-skinned girls, dark-skinned girls, thick girls, thin girls. We had girls with lots of hair. We had one girl that had just recently shaved her head and had been being teased at school. We had a girl with Down syndrome. We had a girl that was in a wheelchair. And so it was really cool because we made it, the final project ended up being a video, and we had a screening downtown on Film Row. And so it did exactly every little girl was able to see someone that looked like herself, and just being able to hear from the parents after the fact. Before we even did the screening, hearing from the parents that man, my daughter's walking differently, or my daughter's talking differently, or I overheard my daughter the other day with her friends, encouraging them. And just so that's I think that kind of shifted a bit the trajectory of my business. I've always been about uplifting and empowering women, but then I was this is what I want to do. It's this is what I want to do all of the time. It's just help people to see their true beauty, basically.
Mm-hmm. And let me tell you, that screening was packed. I mean,
it
was you could hardly get in there. It was, just seeing as you say, the parents and the little girls. Yeah, it was great. And also, let me tell you, Talisa Hines is fierce. Okay.
That girl is something else. That girl's something else. I will say that it's timely that we're talking about her. Her father actually just passed away.
I know.
And so definitely praying for him, for her and her family.
And
But
you
yeah,
can
she's
you can
gorgeous.
relate to that because you lost your
Yeah,
father.
yeah. I reached out to her, and I 5 years ago I lost my dad around this time.
Hmm.
So yeah,
And
and
in
so
fact, I'm talking to you via a Zoom call, and I can see over your shoulder a beautiful
yeah,
picture of you hugging your dad.
yes, that's in my. I mean, we're in my bedroom, and so yeah, that's one of my favorite like later photos of me
Yeah,
and him.
yeah.
So yeah,
Well, yeah, I encourage everyone to Google Talisa Hines and that poem. I'm coming for you. It's fierce. Be ready.
yeah.
Get yourself
I
ready
will.
before you listen to it.
I have no. I probably know every single word of that poem because I've heard it so many times,
Hmm.
and I still get chills every single time I hear that poem. Every single time I hear that poem, like it's crazy.
I hear
Yeah.
you. So yeah, and that's when I think I came to know the work you were doing in this area. But you've done some other things in the in empowering and uplifting sphere. Tell us about those.
I've done. I had a little thing that I was doing called the True Beauty Experience, where basically it was along the same premise about uplifting women. And so basically a group of women would come together, and we would do little things like maybe have a speaker, lots of like self-reflection type things, and self-care type things, and basically saying positive things about yourself out loud, and just really breaking that, because I know as women we are one of the most critical of ourselves.
Mm.
We always go and do for others, and
Hmm.
then but we feel guilty when we to do for ourselves. Like, you can spend all this money on your kids, on your partner, or whatever, but when it comes to spending money on yourself or doing things for yourself or taking time to do things for ourselves, like, we're not as quick to do things, like that. At least it's not without feeling bad about them or whatever. But it's weird because we would be quick to tell our friends, even our girlfriends, like, oh, you need to take it easy, you're working too hard, take a day off. But then if someone was to give us the same advice, it'd be like, no, yeah, and the same thing about as far as like our beauty. Like, we're quick to give others compliments, but sometimes it's hard for us to take them ourselves,
Hmm.
or whatever. And so so the whole True Beauty experience was all about helping women to recognize that your beauty really doesn't have anything to do with what you look like.
Hmm.
It's more about who you are as a person. And so we had a whole list of like affirmations, like, I am fierce, I am worthy. I can't remember them all at the moment. And so what really inspired me about that, we end up doing later one for younger girls, because we have to. I think we need to start teaching that to them when they're younger. Like, it's okay to say no sometimes. It's okay if you're saying no because maybe you're just tired, or you just don't feel like doing this right now. You don't have to really have always have a reason, and it's not selfish to do things for yourself or to put yourself, first. And then two, I think as women, if our daughters see us like criticizing ourselves, they're gonna take on that same spirit. If we're in the mirror like, oh, my nose is big, or I hate my hair, but your daughter has the same nose as you and the same hair as you, then what are they supposed to think? Oh man, my nose is too big too, and my hair is crazy, too. And so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I see this effort to uplift even in your traditional photography work. For example, your graduation photos, your graduation announcements. So, when you see some graduation photos, it's usually, in a beautiful park and the woman standing there, young woman is standing there. But your photos look very fierce, and usually they are either striking a pose or doing something that to me is just a little bit non-traditional. First of all, am I right? And why? What are you going for there?
I don't know if you're right. I mean, you're. I try to make sure I just capture that person's personality,
Hmm.
and so um, what I'm going for there, literally before every shoot I have, I pray. I pray on the way to the shoot, or like before I leave my house to the shoot. And my prayer is always a couple of things, but the main thing is that I'm able to capture beautiful images of that person and that I'm able to help them see themselves the way people who love them see them. And so that's always my goal. Like, and I think I do that by capturing your essence. And so, because when we think of like people that we love and people that we think that are truly beautiful, maybe our mom or maybe an aunt or maybe a friend, usually, if you ask someone like, what makes them so beautiful? You're not like, oh, they have the beautiful eyes, or, it's like their smile or the way they care for others or the way that they are always encouraging. And so like, I want to capture like your essence, and I just want to be able to reflect that back to people so that they can see it, because we don't really look at ourselves. We don't really look at, the only time that we're ever really looking at ourselves is if we're like, unless you just stand in front of the mirror, unless you're like doing your hair or brushing your teeth, maybe you're looking in the mirror. And so a lot of the hang-ups that we have are caused by things that we see that we have issue with. And so, like, sometimes, I feel like I'm jumping all around here, but sometimes, like, so moms may not want to be in front of the camera, or may, like, try to hide behind their kids when they're being photographed because they're trying to hide things that they don't want other people to see.
Mm-hmm.
But these are things that people are seeing all the time. Like, they're literally seeing them more than we're seeing them, because people, like, it's us talking, like, I'm looking at you. I've probably looked at you more today than you've looked at yourself today, just in these, few minutes or whatever. So this issue, not saying that you have one, but just say if you had this issue that you had, it's just what I see all the time when I see Yvette. That's just like Yvette, and I have no issue with it. It's just your own hang up, with it or whatever. So I just want people to be able to see themselves the way that people who love them see them.
So I love what you said, and I'm sorry, there's a little bit of feedback here. I love what you said, and also the fact that you pray before the job,
Mm-hmm.
and what you pray for. That's really beautiful. But while there are a lot of people out there who believe in God or who pray, they might find it, if not if not strange, but just different. When an office worker goes to work or when someone's pumping gas, they may not pray before the job. So tell me why you do that. Why is it important for people to do that?
It's important for me to do it because I feel like this whole thing has been a process for me. Like, and I'm that person that person that I speak of, that's me, and that's been me. And so, like, I feel like what I have is a gift that God gave me. And so, like, there used to be a time that I couldn't say that. Like, I feel like I am good at what I do. I feel like I will tell people that, my superpower is I have a superpower. And my superpower is to be able to capture your essence and reflect it back to you. There was a time that I couldn't say that because I'm like, how can I say that I have a superpower? Like, how can I say that I'm good at this? Because I kind of feel like we're taught not to say things like that about ourselves. And so, but I do think that I'm good at what I do. And I do think that I have a superpower, but I also think that it's a gift. And so my prayer is just that God helps me to be able to use that gift. And even saying that, like, the other part of my prayer that I pray every single time that I go to a shoot is that I use what I know and that I'm able to learn something new, because we're always learning. Like, if you get to a point where you feel like you have nothing else to learn, then it's just time to hang it up or whatever. And so I just want to use what I know, make the most of what I know, and also to learn something new. And then like, if it was left up to me, I may be tired one day doing a shoot. So I might just go in there, half do it if it was just, up to me. Or I may just, I've shot this place 1,000 times. I know what the light is like here. I can go do this. No, I need to be looking for, like, ways to challenge myself and ways to grow. And just because you never know when you go to a shoot, you never know even though I like to meet my clients beforehand, like, you don't know what kind of person that you're going to encounter, what kind of personality or spirit that they're going to have. And so, and not even that, just what kind of day they may be having. They may be having a bad day, and that's going to reflect on the camera. So I feel like it's not necessarily something that I can go in and do by myself. And so that's why it's important for me to pray beforehand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite scripture verse?
I do have a favorite scripture verse. I do not know where it comes from, but I know the scripture, and it says, "Be still and know that I am God."
Mm-hmm.
Because it's my favorite scripture because, be still and know that I am God. And then especially like, so I'm a single mom, and a lot of times and just being a parent, you have to go, do, fix, and handle all kinds of things, put fires out, being a entrepreneur, completely self-employed. There's always things, competing for my attention and things that need to be done and be fixed and be handled or whatever. And I have to realize that even though, so say today when we were getting ready to do this podcast, I need to go pick up some vinyl for some shirts, but I was running behind. And so they closed at 5. I knew we weren't going to be finished by then. And thankfully I have a daughter that can drive, and I got her up and she was able to go. And so I was able to fix that. But also know that I'm not able to fix everything. And so there may be situations that come up that like, oh my goodness, I don't see a way out of this. How am I going to be able to fix this? And I have to realize that I can't fix anything, and it's not my job to necessarily fix everything. Sometimes I have to just be still and let God handle it. He's going to work it out. Like, I may mess it up just trying to be in there, trying to do what I think, needs to be done. So, yeah.
Okay. So you talked about learning new things all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you've learned during this pandemic? My original question was going to be, how difficult is it for people to find joy in the midst of a pandemic? But I'm just wondering, is there anything that you learned through this pandemic, and maybe something that helped you find joy?
I have learned to be still. Literally, like, because I'm usually not still for very long unless I'm sleeping. And so when the pandemic first hit, I had to stay put because there's a huge pandemic going on. And I wasn't trying to get sick, and I wasn't trying to get my kids sick or anything like that. And then there was a ban, and so I couldn't work. And that was scary. Like, oh my goodness, I'm responsible. I can't get sick. Like, what happens to my kids if I get sick? And then also, like, I have to protect my kids and keep my kids safe. Like, it was scary. And so just realizing that, okay, my job was to do all that I could do, and then to just let God handle the rest of it. And so we just stayed put. I had a couple of probably week or two that I was like, oh my goodness, I was completely overwhelmed. I probably slept a little bit too much or whatever. And then we just kind of rolled with it or whatever. We rolled with it. We hung out. Me and the kids hung out more. We tried all different kind of recipes and things like that. Like, we've made the most of it. And it helped me. I think it helped solidify my faith even more, because so week after week after week of not working, my bills still were paid, my lights were still on, the kids still ate. And I've had crazy people that have reached out to me. Like, I've had one lady reached out to me and was like, hey, I just wanted to bless you. Can you send me your Cash App? Just out the blue. I've had clients reach out to me and, have been like, hey, I want to pre-purchase a session. I'll probably use it later this year, maybe next year. I wanted to pay for it, now or whatever. And so I would have never reached out to a client, hey, do you think you can buy a session for me, later and pay for it? Or whatever. That was God just providing for us. So like I said, everything we've needed has been provided for. So it was just a lesson to just like, you still need to do what you can do, but then just let God handle the rest and let him take care of it. So, yeah.
Amen. Mm-hmm. So what's next? I know you have a t-shirt line that's also uplifting and empowering. Tell us about your t-shirts.
So my t-shirt line is called Do You, Be You Apparel. And my little slogan is, it's all about like empowering you and helping you to live life out loud. And so it's just that, like, trying to help people. I love like graphic tees and slogans. I pick my shirts depending that I wear each day just by how I feel each day. Like today may be like oh no, this is a no, not today, Satan type shirt or whatever. And so I just, make stuff and find stuff that I like.
What are you wearing today?
This one says Dope by Nature. And this just happened to be because I just grabbed it out of the closet. But I have one shirt that I just made that it says All Lives Matter on the front. But then it says, like, you just have to, if you look closer and read it, it says, like, if all lives matter, why aren't you mad too? And so it's just like a little, but like if all lives matter, why aren't you upset too about what's going on? And so, yeah.
So where can we find you online?
You can find me online on Facebook at With You in Mind, WITHUNMIND, and also at Do You Be You, Do, and then the letter U, Be the letter U apparel on Facebook. I believe it's the same on Instagram, and then the websites are the same, respectively, like withyouinmind.com and doyoubeapparel.com.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for everything that you are doing to lift up and empower really all women, but especially little Black girls. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, we appreciate you.
I appreciate you having me. It's good seeing your face.
It's good seeing you too. It's been too long.
It's been a while.
Okay. Well, to everyone, thanks for listening. This has been the Positively Joy podcast. And as always, farewell for now.